Shalom. Shalom. Salam, however you want to say it. Peace to you from the Father, Elohim, Yah, and from the Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. To now, we're going to wrap up, I think for tonight at least. I want to use my glasses, so I think I will. I don't usually use my glasses, but I might have to just for this last home stretch here. Might have to. I just got these today, so it's gonna look rather. I don't know what the word is, but maybe unique or different. It's gonna look rather different wearing what the garb I am and these glasses. So let's see how it looks. Okay, I look like a university student, and I don't know. All right, that works. All right, all right. I don't know. I like them. Whatever. Here we go. So it's not Shabbat, but I'm just going to pretend Shabbat Shalom. I don't really have an interesting introduction, but I don't know. Maybe if I come up with one just organically happens, I will do one. But so far, I don't. So let's begin. I want to look into the Hebrew word, a new Hebrew word, maybe for you, the audience. It's called Zadik. Zedek. So the word, there's a root word. I believe it's a root word, Zedekah, means an moral obligation. So the root word is Zedekah. It means a moral obligation to do good works. It also means justice or righteousness or charity. So multifaceted. It's multi-dimensional. Means many things, just this one word. Be Zadik. Do it out of obligation. Okay, that's repetitious. I'm going to remove that. So the Torah commands us to give a tithe to the poor, and that is our duty from the perspective of Elohim. Yah, he is not obligated to do or give us anything except for the things he promised, and but God does it because he's merciful. Okay, so I just rewrote it here. I said the Torah commands us. I mean, Yah commands us through the Torah, really. Um, I want to separate them and like, oh, the Torah, and no, Yah commands us through his Torah. I mean, it's his law. Um, for example, to give a tithe to the poor, that is our duty, our obligation. From his perspective, from the Father's perspective, he is not obligated to do anything for us or give us anything except for the things which he promises us because he has to stand by his word. But God does this anyway because he is merciful. The word tzedek has been translated as well as kindness, benevolence. Let me just make sure I'm getting this. Tzedek. Tzedek. Okay, spelled it wrong. So it's also been translated as kindness and benevolence. Okay. Gracious act. So I'm getting back into what I started with. So I'm going to see, can I move that somewhere else? Okay, I'm gonna move that. Okay. I'm defining it, and then I'm talking about something, and I'm defining it again. So I'm all over the place. So let's try it this way. Today, I want to look into a new Hebrew word, tzaddik or zedek. The root word is zedekah, which means a moral obligation to do good works. It also means justice or righteousness or charity. It is most multifaceted and also been translated as kindnesses, benevolence. So I guess zedek and zedekah, they're almost synonymous in a way. I don't want to say they are, but they almost are. You have zedek and zedekah. So zedekah are the actual good works themselves. However, zedek on its own means righteousness. It is, um, although zedekah is good works, that's the actions themselves. Zedek is the actual attribute, I would say. So it has been translated as kindness, benevolence, gracious acts. Um, again, zedekah is more than just legal correctness. It also relates to covenant faithfulness. Okay, so I have to bring that back to zedekah. So I'm gonna just keep zedekah separate from zedek. It's kind of I'm even confused, so it's not a good thing. So I'm gonna keep that separate. So I really should separate these two. So I say, okay, let's look into a new Hebrew word, zedek, and then I'm like, no, it's not. Let's look into another word. So I'm kind of like, what are you showing us? Okay, so I'm saying, so zedek means justice, righteousness, charity, and it also been translated has been translated kindness, benevolence, gracious acts. So I don't know. I mean, righteous zedekah is good work. So I mean, gracious acts is almost the same. I might have to just omit that. Yeah, it's kind of confusing to be honest. So I have to make a distinction here. So look at the new Hebrew word sadiq or zedek. It means justice, righteousness, charity. Charity, people say love and charity are interchangeable. No, this is charity, like charitable works, right? Um, and yeah, love is an action as well. But anyway, let's just stick with this. Multifaceted. It has also been translated as, so it means it's multifaceted. It has many meanings. Justice, righteousness, charity, kindness, benevolence, gracious acts. So that's a lot. I mean, it kind of gives you a sense of that these Hebrew concepts are not just straightforward, like it's just one thing. It's an attitude that encompasses, it's an attribute that encompasses all these different things. It does take into account justice, righteousness, charity, kindness, benevolence, gracious acts. So, um, yeah, Sadek. So, king of righteousness. I mean, when you think of righteousness, righteousness is a vague term too. So it makes sense that it will encompass all these things. So it includes justice, righteousness, charity, kindnesses, benevolence, uh, gracious acts. All right, so that's a pretty good break there. I want to look into the Hebrew word zadik. Okay, let me just make sure I can read. Okay, it means has many meanings: justice, righteousness, charity, kindnesses, benevolence, gracious acts. So we can see that um, zadak is not. It encompasses many. It's a concept uh, that includes many attitudes, different aspects. I mean, it's like when you say love, what does love mean? It's multifaceted. So Zedek is kind of like that in a way. The root word of zedek is zedakah. It means a moral obligation to do good works. Some people even say it is good works. Zedek, so zedek instead of zadik. That kind of gets a little confusing if you're going zadik, zedek. So I'll just say zedek because you know the name Melchi Zedek, right? So I'll keep it at that. Tzedakah means more than just legal correctness. It also refers and relates to covenant faithfulness, much like the previous word we looked at, which was chesed. Yeah, maybe I won't even say that. Much like the previous word we looked at. I won't even say what it is. You're not going to speak too much Hebrew right today. Just stick to that. Yah commands us through his law, uh, for example, to give a tithe to the poor. This is our duty, our obligation. From his perspective, from the Father's perspective, he is not obligated to do for us, give, except the things he promised. But he does it anyway because he is merciful. He does things for us anyway. They're undeserved, so it's a grace and mercy. Yah will do things for us because of his name's sake, but also does things for us because he is merciful, gracious, and kind. It connotes giving material to those in need. Okay, what am I talking about there? I think it's talking about uh, Zedekah. I think it's talking about Zedekah. So that's kind of like, see, like it's all over the place. So I have to make it laser focused. So get back. So Zedekah, moral obligation to do good works. And then I'll say here, it promotes giving material support to those in need. And it's more than just legal correctness. People say, you're so legalistic. No, it also relates to covenant faithfulness. So I'm going to say, legal. So you're so legalistic. Legalistic. It's one of the so legalistic. You followers of Shua. You're trying to. You can't fulfill the law. What are you trying to do? No, I'm not trying to fulfill the law. We're just trying to be good followers. If you're a good kid, you're gonna obey what your mom and dad tells you. So I mean, that's exactly what I think that's what we're trying to do. Really, it's not. You're being legalistic. You're not eating ice cream. Your mom and dad said don't eat ice cream. Now you're doing that. You're being legalistic. So I don't. I just think it's just being obedient. I don't know. Anyhow, Yah commands us through His law, for example, to give a tithe to the poor. I read that already. So the ladder of Maimonides. Okay, so this how does this relate to Zedek? Well, this emphasizes the importance of giving. That is number one, anonymous, generous, and helping those in need to become self-sufficient. So this relates to Zedekah. Again, an act of righteousness that comes from a duty to help others in need. It is sometimes understood as charity, but the root word means justice or fairness rather than philanthropy or generosity. So it means doing the right thing, excuse me, by demonstrating Zedek, justice and fairness in your life. So again, these are just all various thoughts on what it is. So I'm going to move this actually, the Zedekah, to the Zedekah portion at the very beginning there because it's all over the place. It's like, let me talk about, chocolate. Now I'll talk about vanilla. Now chocolate again. What? What are you doing? Okay, so let's keep it there. Okay. So I said it means an act of righteousness. It also means an act of righteousness. Also can mean. I'll just say also can mean because I mean so many things it can mean. Comes from a duty to help others in need. So I'm being worded in so many different ways, but it is sometimes understood it's charity, um, but the root word is justice or fairness rather than okay, which was the root word? Is Zedek the root word of Zedekah? Or is Zedekah the root word of Zedek? I'm confused now. I don't, I don't know which is the root word. Oh man, I feel like an English teacher. What are you trying to say here? Um, so Zedek is the root word. Okay. It is a root word of Zedekah. Okay. It is the root. I think it's the root word of Zedekah. So it's two concepts really. I'm explaining Zedek and Zedekah. So the root word is Zedek. So Zedekah is like the branch word, I guess you could say. So Zedek is really the root. So Zedek is justice and fairness. Okay. Justice, fairness in your life. Okay. All right. That's a little bit better now. So the ladder of Maimonides. So this is emphasizing the importance of giving that is anonymous, generous. So these are why I'm mentioning this is because people do good works. They do their Zedekah in order to not be anonymous, in order to not give as little as possible and make them look like they're giving a lot more than they really are. And they're not really helping those to become self-sufficient. They're just doing like a temporary band-aid kind of thing. I'm not harping and beating up on people who do charity. I'm just saying that a way better way to do it is to help them be self-sufficient, not just give them, something that's only good for like a day and then, they have nothing left and you just delayed their death basically. I mean, no, it's still good, but it's much better. There are good ways to do things. They're both good. Giving reprieve for a day and giving for a lifetime. They're both good, but one is just more efficient. One is going to help them to be more self-sufficient and have an overall better life than just temporary stopgap aid, right? So in regards to good works or zedakah, why am I explaining it this way? Because zedakah is the pragmatic, practical approach to manifesting zedek. We like to say, okay, the Bible's good and love your neighbor and all that, love God, but how do you actually do it? Well, Zedek is a concept we have to understand before we can actually do it. And Zedek is providing a real life formula, if you will, real life way to apply it in your life. So that's why I'm emphasizing this. And it says here, a person who routinely practices Zedek is called a Zadik. Okay. Why is this important? Well, followers of Christ, Mashiach, Yeshua, are known as Zadikit. Why? Because they demonstrate their love by giving to others. That is really what I think we should be known by, Christians. So that's important. Uh, you practice Zedek, this righteousness, you are known as Zadik. In Hebrew, followers of Christ are known as Zadikit because they demonstrate their love, which is by giving to others. Um, so they're known as that. So Zadik goes beyond the obligation to perform Zedakah as a mere duty. So it's not, Tzaddik is what they call these people. So it's like a title. Um, but instead you practice it and you're motivated by benevolent love. So I'm going to say, for this one, I'm going to say going beyond, okay? So I'm going to say going beyond the Christian, I guess, application of it all. It's like going beyond the, beyond. So I think going beyond is a hallmark of Christianity. It should be followers of Christ is going beyond. Um, if someone conscripts you to walk a mile, you go 2 miles. And I really think it's a hallmark of believers, but in particular, followers of Mashiach, we're supposed to go the extra mile. Okay. Sadiq goes beyond the obligation to perform Zedekah as a mere duty, but instead practices and is motivated by benevolent love. Scripture says God loves a cheerful giver. So again, the greatest act of Zedekah in all history, human history, was Yeshua giving his life, Yeshua Mashiach, giving his life as a sacrificial offering on the cross. It is written, those who trust in him are also justified as righteous. Zadik came since the Zadik, the righteous, shall live by faith. Um, the righteous. So again, that's what it means. It means the righteous. Uh, Yeshua, Hamashiach, Joshua the Anointed One, is of the priesthood of Melech Zedek, King of Righteousness. So, interesting point there. There's a big contrast between how Jewish and Christian people see righteousness. The focus from Hebraic mindset perspective is placed on what you do, and that's not wrong, but it has been understood primarily through actions. It's really the big focus, and I think that's why the Pharisees went wrong, because focus is outward. It's not the internal reality. See, great divide, great divide, but there is a great divide between just outward actions and the internal part of it. So the action of caring for the poor reveals both what you believe and how you think, but that's not always the case. I mean, that's not always the case. It should be ideally, but that's not always the case. Let's just face it; it isn't the case at every instance. But that isn't always the case. One can be doing it for done, right? One of the earliest references to this word righteousness in the scriptures is found in Genesis 18:19, where Yah speaks of this relationship with Abraham, a man whose faithfulness was credited to him as tzedakah. Uh, wasn't by Abraham just thinking or feeling something in his heart, but because he obeyed him, he expressed his faith, a concept we're going to look at in the future, by his tzedakah. From the internet, has looked up a lot of different sources, but it says here, righteous man should empathize with the poor person in his suffering, recognizing that he is only able to give because God has given to him. If the one who seeks to be righteous gives with an angry and scornful face, he loses his merit. We're, after all, only custodians of the resources that our compassionate Heavenly Father has given us, and we're only stewards of the lives we have, the bodies we have, and every opportunity God puts in front of us, we're responsible for. We are accountable for. I'm going to say we are accountable. We have the opportunity to do good, or nothing at all, or we do evil. The person who approaches us for help is therefore perhaps unknowingly a divine messenger sent to remind us of one of our purposes of being, to reflect on the character of God, and that is to reflect the character of our God, the image, the internal image, giving, serving, and loving one another. So I found that really profound. I think that's a messianic website. So what am I going to call this? A little subheading? I'll say as a caveat. I mean, you know, we can do it in the wrong way. Um, we can, what do you call it, like a cheerful giver. Let me say this. Wrong motivation, I'll say. Wrong motivation. So, wrong motivation. Um, and there's this part about the end times, and I said that, so I have to delete that again. So Matthew 5:20, Yeshua says here, and I quote, "Unless your righteousness, your tzedakah, exceeds the tzedakah of the scribes and Pharisees, will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven." So what does he mean by righteousness? In the Greek, it's dikaiosune, but in Hebrew, it is tzedakah, which also corresponds to the fruit of the Spirit, popularly known as goodness. Actually, is it tzedakah? I think it's zedek. Pretty sure it's zedek. I'll say zedek. I don't know. I might have just used this wrong. I'll just put in brackets zedek maybe. I don't think it's zedek anymore. And yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. So it corresponds to the fruit of the Spirit, popularly known, or more from, how do I sell it? Uh, how do I even speak? Okay. So righteousness corresponds to the Hebrew zedekah, which, again, I'm going to reveal, it corresponds to the fruit, which I believe corresponds to the fruit of the Spirit, uh, known as goodness. Goodness. So righteousness equals goodness. So righteousness refers to moral behavior that conforms to God's law, to Yah's law, His Torah. For example, the psalmist says, "Judge me." Um, so it is moral behavior. I mean, this is getting back to the superficial level. I guess I could probably move this to the front. Judge me according to my righteousness, so evaluate me according to His faithful obedience to the Torah. I have to confirm this in the Septuagint. In the writings of the Apostle Paul, he says righteousness is an end times gift of the Spirit. I don't know. I might. What is that? Why is it relevant? Why is that even relevant though? I guess it'll be the right one, maybe. Yeah, because I could keep that. But what is the relevance? Maybe I can move that somewhere else. Like, really is a gift, isn't it? Yeah, I need to move that somewhere else because it's kind of conflicting with everything I just. So I say, I'll move this where the higher calling one, going beyond. Okay, I'll move it here. So it really is a gift of the Spirit, and it's a fruit of the Spirit. All right, that's good. That's much better. And then I'll say here, righteousness refers to moral behavior, conforms to God's law. So I'm going to go to. So it really is obedience. Righteousness is obedience. Yeah, this has to be moved to the beginning because this is going to the basics now. So obedience, and then Pharisees. Yeah, it should be at the beginning, I think. And move this. 'Cause it's getting more complicated and they become simple again, so it doesn't make sense. All right, I'm going to move this because I'm saying righteousness is obedience. So how can I move that? It has to be before all the beyond stuff. All right, so move it at the beginning. I think this makes more sense. It has to flow. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to right now make it flow. That's more streamlined. I'm going, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. It's building up. It's not like, hey, here's a bread, and then here's meat, and then here's bread, and then here's like sauce. Like, why would you do that? You put the sauce in the bread, or not in the bread, but within the sandwich. You don't put it outside. So it's got to be orderly, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. I think it makes a lot more sense now. So let's. I could even move something as to be an example, but we'll see. Um, yeah. So obedience is key. I'll just put obedience as key. Righteousness is obedience. It is obedient. I have Scottish. It's definitely related. Definitely. And the Qumran Jews. That's a good one. I like that one. It doesn't make sense, but it is a good one though. I have to use the toilet, so I might have to just take another break and come back. Um, and then the psalmist says again, "Judge me according to my Zadik." We should be doing it not out of obligation, and yes, we forget. It's important we keep the Torah, spiritual Torah. Okay. Okay, I don't know how I built to that, but I'm gonna have to say this be moved. I'll just write here. Can this be moved? I say, can this be moved? Because I don't know if it can be moved. Can this be moved to another section? Edited to fit better another section. It's like all over the place. This area here that I just wrote. It's like going beyond, and then I like that how it kind of transitions to the going beyond part, and then there's a contrast between the Jewish and Christian part about it. Um, yeah, actually, I should put the Great Divide first because it's showing there's a difference, and this is the difference. We go beyond. Um, so the difference is, um, yeah, it's yeah, okay, that's pretty good. I'll move that before one there. The going beyond hallmark. I like that one. Okay, a lot better now. I think this was good. It's just all over the place. So it's just putting the pieces of the puzzle where they should fit, and it makes a better picture. Otherwise, if they're all mangled up, you're not really getting a good picture. It's all distorted. Like there's something good there, and you can see there's something happening, but it's not in the correct spots where it should be placed. Like the arms over here, and your foot's in your mouth, and whatever. It's just all over the place. So okay, looks a lot better now. All right. Okay, can I include that? An important distinction to make regarding the fruit is the way humans would express the fruit of the Spirit. How we would embody and practice is different how God would do it. That's why it's called the fruit of the world. It's not the same as the fruit of the Spirit of joy and peace or righteousness. So if we're saying, um, so yeah, if I'm saying I'm gonna do the fruit of the Spirit of righteousness, but this is as the world does it. It's random acts of kindness. But God says no, no, we don't do it that way. It's not the way the world does it. We don't just do it randomly. Yeah, it's random acts. Kindness slash public displays. What do you call those things? Photo ops. Like ops. and the the praise of men, people, public displays, such a big display of things. So that I think that that should be moved. It should be moved to the going beyond. Just to introduce going beyond. It should be at the going beyond right before it, just to give a contrast. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I'm going to take a quick break and come back and do the final. I guess this will be the final one, and then tomorrow I'll just put in the scriptures, the correct scriptures, and we'll see how it goes. Because I think it's gonna. I think this is really coming together. I'm really glad I'm doing this, not all nighter, but I'm doing it in this fashion rather than staying up till like 6 a.m., 6 in the morning, or 4 in the morning, and then it's just not good. It's not the way to manage your time. I like how this band like looks like it's part of that. You know what I mean? Or maybe you could do it this way. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that actually works. Wow. But if I did it that way, no, it looks weird. Okay, that way works. Okay, that actually works. Like, that actually that actually works. Like it actually looks like it's part of it. Oh wow. Shalom. Yeah, it looks like it's part of my outfit. Like it's not. It doesn't look out of place in my opinion. Like it kind of matches the beige, and it also does the Bedouin thing where they like pile up. They pile up all these piles of stuff, and it just looks like a big crown. So it's doing that. It's making that effect. So I do appreciate that. So that is something that is serendipity, or it's just worked out for good. So okay, I'll come back, do one last stream, and see if this came together. I reorganized it, restructured it, see if it all came together, or if it's just one big mess. But I do have a feeling it's not a big mess anymore. So right, I'll come back shortly after I take my break.